Hello, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial we are going to talk about the MVC architecture, and the goal of this tutorial is that at the end of this tutorial we are going to build a basic application in Node.js, and we are going to use the MVC architecture. So first of all, we need to understand that MVC is an example of a software development design pattern or architecture. There are other architectures like MVVM. There are just many other kind of architectures like that, but MVC is mostly used in backend applications. So this is actually for people that use Node.js very well, but like you don't have a definite way of writing your code. MVC is a kind of architecture that helps you structure your code and have everything separated according to their functionality. So first of all, what does MVC stands for? MVC stands for Model View Controller, and then we are going to explain each of these components and what they do. So let's start with the view. As you can see in the illustration above, in the illustration on the screen, the view represents the GUI, like what the user is seeing, like maybe for a web application, the web page, something like that. Then, so let's say for example the user wants to sign up on your website. First of all, they are seeing the sign up form and everything. They fill their information and then they click. They send a request to your web server. So the way the MVC architecture works is that the entry point of the request is going to be the controller. So now every action that you request from the web server goes to the controller. The controller tries to execute it. Then, so the controller is like the intermediary between the model and the view. So what is the model before I go back to the controller? So the model is your data interface. It's what provides the data that is backing up your application. Like in most cases, your model will allow you to interact with your database more easily. Like having your models is just like having your database data in your code directly. You just have to call it and then it picks up the necessary data from the database. So the controller now tries to execute the user's request. If there's need to make a request if there's need to use data from the database or from any data store, the model will provide that interface for the controller. So the controller is just going to consume it, and then after every action has been completed, every request has been every action that needs to be executed on the request made by the user has been completed. The controller then sends back a response to the view. Okay, now sending back a response to the view might not be the right word or the 100% word to use there, but it basically covers it all, because sometimes we might be working with an API server and then maybe you have to return JSON or something, but most times when using the MVC, the controller is going to return another view or return that same view with some updated data and all that. So basically, let's just go back to the illustration and let's forget about the English I'm using. So we have the user performs an action, sends it to the controller processes the user action, performs code on data provided by model if necessary. So the controller can create, read, update or delete data provided by the model, and it just sends the request to the model. The model will execute that and give it its necessary response. So basically that is it. The controller will also be the one to return the required response back to the view, or to render a new view that is necessary necessary to be rendered. So I understand that this might be a bit cunning, but we are going to do this practically. So we are going to create an application, use the MVC design, and build some few components and like just use MVC practically. So without anything, I think we should continue. Okay, so before we begin, I would like to explain all the prerequisites that we are going to need in this course. So first of all, because I'm going to be communicating with my database, I'll be using MySQL database. You might need to install MySQL community version on your system, or you can just use anything to install it. Like personally, I use XAMPP, and I've been using XAMPP for quite a long time, so I have MySQL running on XAMPP, and then for my management I use dbeaver. I'm just going to bring that over to the screen. I use dbeaver, so this is where my data are. This is where I manage my database from, but my database runs on XAMPP. So I'm just going to create a new database right now under my localhost. I'm just going to create a new database and name it Express MVC. This is going to be required for this course. So let's continue. Okay, and we have Express MVC right there. It does not have any table yet or anything, but I just wanted to show you guys that this is what we are going to be using to manage our database. And also you need to have NodeJS installed. You need to have Node.js installed on your system. So if you haven't, I actually have Node.js installed. If you haven't, you can head over to Google and just type Node.js. So you are going to find the official link at the top. Once you click, okay, you can download the latest version and install it on your system, and then we go from there. But these are the things that you are going to need. And also back to our code, this is just my simple code editor. Most people, like most developers, use Visual Studio Code. You can use Sublime, you can use Atom, but I prefer to use Visual Studio Code. And then I'll not be using the integrated terminal. I just like my terminal to be separate, so I'm using the normal command prompts, the normal Microsoft command prompts. Okay, so I already have Node installed on my system, which means I also have npm installed on my system. So I'm just going to start our project first by installing by starting like how you start any Node.js project. So we just go npm init. And I'd like to resize this a bit. Okay, so once we run that, we can edit some metadata about our application. For example, the package name, let's just leave it as Express MVC version 1.0.0. Description, MVC in ExpressJS. Entry point index.js. Okay, let's go. We don't have a test command yet. We don't have a Git repository. Let's just say MVC backend Express. The author, I'll just put my name right there. I see. Okay, so yes to complete this, and that's it. I'm going to clear out my console again. Then we are going to need some few packages, so I'm just going to install them from now. Let's start with npm install. We are going to need Express, we are going to need Sequelize, we are going to need EJS. Yes, let's just install these ones for now. So I'm just going to cut out this part because this might take some minutes. Okay, I think all those packages have been installed. So we need to install one more package that I forgot. So npm install body parser. So we just wait for that to also install. Okay, that went through fast. We also need to install one package, but it's a dev dependency, so I don't want to install it with the others. Npm install save dev nodemon. So we just wait for this to also install. Okay, so everything has been installed on our application, so we can start writing the code. But first of all, I want to give you a rundown of what's going on in our package.json file. So we can see that we have all the dependencies that we installed with normal npm install inside our dependencies. But then in the dev dependency, we have nodemon because we don't want this to be in production. So I'm going to create some few scripts because the use of nodemon actually is to make sure that our application automatically restarts whenever we change the code, so that we don't need to manually go and restart the application. So I'm just going to write some few scripts. Oh, sorry, I'm going to call this one dev, and we'll just say nodemon index. Okay, so that is it. We are going to create our file. Remember, we set the entry point of our application to index.js. Actually, we can still use any other thing, but like it's okay. It's best to use index.js in our code. So I'm just going to create that file right now, and then if I do something inside, I'm just going to write some few JavaScript code inside, and just call this one console.log hello world. Then we want to run our application with this script, with this dev script. So we are going to say something like npm run dev. Don't show me this again. I'm going to say our application is going to spin up with nodemon. You can see that, and we have hello world. So as we make changes to our code, it's going to update right there. So let's just get started. I'm going to say const express is equal to require express, and then we have const what other thing are we going to have here? Okay, let's just do const up is equal to express. I'm just going to initialize our server, and then we just do app.listing. Let's just do ports 5000-5123, and let's see. Let's just write this callback to do something like console.log. Yes, let's just use normal string. App is running on 5000. You can see that as we are making changes to our code, it's nodemon is automatically running our application. So let's just I'm just going to list in on a route and see something like get request response. If you are familiar with ExpressJS, I'm very sure that you understand what's going on here. So let's just do res.send. I like to use return res.send. It's actually not compulsory. Let's just send the h1, and I just want to make sure that our application is actually running. So let's say welcome. Okay, so as far as our server is running on port 5000, let us quickly go to our browser and load our application. So we're just going to do localhost at port 5000-5123. Let's see. It's supposed to have welcome, just like we added in our code. So this is to ensure that our application is actually running. So let's continue. So the next part is I want to set up our database, and in order to do that, we need to use Sequelize. So let's just get started with that. I'm just going to create a new folder just to make our code as clean as possible. So I'm going to call this one database, and then in there I'm going to add a file. I'm going to call it Sequelize.js, and this is where we are going to define our global Sequelize object. So let's just call it Sequelize is equal to, we are going to require Sequelize. So first of all, before we continue, I'd like to explain what Sequelize actually is. So Sequelize is a ORM library that allows you to define database models and makes it easier for you to communicate with your database table and all that. So it actually gives you access to your database tables and data as models, and you can use those models to access or modify data in your database. So as we move forward, we are going to see what Sequelize actually does. So we are just going to see let's just say const instance is equal to new sorry, I don't think I put this in quite properly. It's supposed to be like this. Then we can call this one Sequelize 2. Sequelize. Okay, so now we are going to do new Sequelize. Okay, so we can now define options. It's in dialects, so we are going to be using MySQL. So we are going to use MySQL. Then let's have hosts, local hosts, user name, username of the database. We are going to have my username is root, so then we can have password, which is actually null for my case, and then can come down to this place and do module.export is equal to Sequelize, and that's it. So this is basically our database definition. So we are going to use this Sequelize object that we are exporting from this file all around our application. So first of all, I want to explain something to us. It's actually outside the scope of this tutorial, but I would just like to explain. Values like host, password, username, and sorry, I missed something. I'm supposed to also add the database, and that will be I think we named it Express MVC, this one right here. So let's go back to our code and say Express MVC. Okay, like I was saying initially, all these values are supposed to be stored in something called environment variables, but that is, we don't have much of them, and that is not the scope of this tutorial. That's why I'm just going to go through this route and just add code everything into where they are needed. So we have this exported, so let's just now we need to set up our model. So for this course, we are basically just going to be creating a simple web page where all the products that are available will be listed, that are available in our database will be listed, and you can basically just add a new product and it will add to that web page. So we are just going to have only one model, but this is the normal convention. So we are going to have a models folder. Sorry, I think I created a file instead. Let me just quickly delete that. Yes, I want to delete, and then let's come down here and create a new folder and call it models. Okay, so in the models, I want to have products.js. Okay, so let's do something real fast. First of all, we need Sequelize, and this time around we will not be using the Sequelize. We will not be using the Sequelize package. We'll be using the Sequelize instance that we just created in this file. So we need to import this in our application now. And in order to do that, we need to do /database and then move to Sequelize. So Sequelize right here. Okay, so we have our Sequelize, then let's create our model. So there are actually two ways to create a model in Sequelize, but I'll just be using one class. We're going to call this one product, and it extends it extends model. Okay, this is something we do not have here. I need to bring that. I need to also bring this in. So I need to import from the Sequelize package. This time around, we are installing from the. We are importing from the Sequelize package. Model require. And this time around, it's just going to be Sequelize. So that is it for this. Okay, we have the product model. Now we need to initialize it, so we're just going to say product.init, and we are going to define the fields, so ID. Okay, so we need to also have something else here. We need to have data types, exactly, because we are going to need it. So we are going to say type is data types dot integer, exactly. Then we are going to say the allow null. This can never be null, so I'm going to set it to false. Sorry, I'm going to set it to false. Then we are going to have auto increment. Auto increment is true because it's going to be unique to every or single product. Then we're also going to say primary key. Yes, primary key. Yes, this is the primary key of our table. So that is that about that one. Then let's also have the name of the product. So the type of the name of the product will be data types dot string. Yes, it has to be type of string. And then we are going to say allow null is false. We want every single product in our database to have a name. Then we are going to say the price. Yes, the price is going to be a type of data types dot float. Yes, because the number can be floating. The price can be a floating point number. And then we are going to say allow null is false. Okay, and then we need to use the Sequelize object. So normally you are supposed to use Sequelize as Sequelize, but ES6 allows us to just define one Sequelize. Since the key and the value are the same thing, it's just going to pick up the Sequelize and say Sequelize is equal to Sequelize. So we have our product model created. Of course, we don't want to use our product model in this file. We might want to use it somewhere else. So we need to export it. So I'm going to say module.export is equal to Sequelize. Is equal to product this time around. Okay, so we have our single model completely set up. You can see right there. Then what is next? We need to move on with setting up our application. So for our application, normally we are supposed to create all the products, but just for testing purpose, I've decided that we are going to have a basic seed file. And what is a seed? So seed data is data that is required to run before the application begins, data that are required by the application. So I'm not going to add like 3 products in the seed data. So I'm not going to say, in fact, I'm going to export it directly. Module.export is equal to, I'm going to export it, supposed to be an array. It's supposed to be an array of objects, and we can just say name is, let's say Gucci bag, and then we can just say price is, let's just say 45.12. Okay, that's one product, and then this is another product. Let's say gold chain. Let's say gold chain, and then let's say the price is 250.78. Okay, so this is basically what we need here. We are going to always save this data in our database before our application begins. So that is it for the seed data. Now let's go back to our index.js and import all of these. So first of all, we need to have our Sequelize. Sequelize is going to be equal to require. dot slash, we have database, and we have Sequelize. I'm going to copy and paste this downward because we also need to import the seed. I'm going to call it seed right here. Seed. And then one last thing we need to do is to import our product model, const products, because we will need to see data into the product table right here. So we're just going to do require dot slash models slash products. Okay, so that is it about this one. So let's just we need to add some Sequelize code. So I'm going to say Sequelize. Remember, the Sequelize we are using right here, is our global Sequelize that we created in the database folder. It's not the Sequelize package anymore. So I'm going to say Sequelize dot sync, and then we can pass false to be true. This is basically for development purpose. So this means that whenever our application restarts, all the data in the database will be flushed and recreated, all the tables will be deleted and recreated, everything will be flushed and restarted again. So this is not recommended for production. We are only doing this because we are still in development. So then let's add it then, and let's also have a catch dot catch. Just going to bring an error here, and just say console.log failed to connect to database. So this is going to true whenever we fail to connect to our database. Else we are going to just say, for now, let's just say console.log database connected. Okay, so we are facing this problem in our console because in order to use MySQL in Sequelize, we need to manually install the MySQL package. So to do that, let's just quickly install npm install MySQL 2. Let's go. Also here, let's just add the I would like to update this message, the message we have here. Let's see, because, then let's pass the error. Okay, so we have MySQL 2 installed now. Now let us continue. So we're just going to do npm run dev, and now we should have database connected in our console. Yes, we have database connected, and if we go to our dbeaver and come down here and do something like refresh, we refresh, we are going to have one table. Let's check out the columns. You can see we have ID, int, we have price, and we have name. So basically that is it with Sequelize. We can see that everything created, the tables are created by themselves. Also, one thing I would like to add here is that the app should only run if we are sure that our database has run completely. So and this is going to make it wait. Yeah, database connected and app is running. Then let's check our application. If we refresh this, we have that. So yes, so that is basically it. One more thing we need to do is that I told you initially that the seed data is supposed to be stored in our database before our application actually spins up. So immediately here we are going to do something like this. Let's just write a basic for loop, and let's say let I, the syntax, 0 I is less than seed dot length I plus plus. So we want to loop through the seed value, remember that in the seed we have an array, so we can actually loop through an array directly. We can iterate through an array directly. So we are just going to do something like okay, for the sake of, because we are not in an asynchronous function, which we can actually be inside, so I would like to add async here, and then we can just do something like this: await seed, product dot create. Let's just do seed at that particular point, and this is it. The reason why we had to add async here, it's because we actually want to use await, and because before you can use await inside the function, it has to be an async function. So one other thing I want to add here is that console.log seed data added successfully. Okay, let's see in our console now. Yes, we have seed data added successfully, and we have APIs on this. So I would like us to go and check our database and see what's up with our view table. Okay, so view data. You can see we have two products. We have Gucci bag and gold chain. We have their prices, just as we defined in our seed products. So that will be that with our database. Now let's just get started. So like I said before, we are going to be using EJS according to the packages we installed. So before we even get to that, I'd like us to do something else. I would like us to set up our controller, because remember we are doing our MVC here, so we already have our models. So if you are supposed to be getting the picture now, our model provides our data from our database. Then we now need to have the controller, so we are going to create the controllers folder. Oh, sorry, I still went ahead to create a file. I'm just going to delete that again. So we're just going to say controllers, and then I'm going to create another route that I'll call routes, another folder that I'll call routes. I'm thinking that I do not need to do that since our application does not have much routes. So normally I was supposed to create a folder and name it route, and then maybe create our basic routes there and bring them to this place and just import them directly. But then this is a very basic application. I just want to demonstrate MVC to you guys. So we will not be doing that in this tutorial. We are just going to define all our routes in our index.js file. So we have this one that says welcome. Then I'd like us to have this one, app.get. Yes, and we are going to call this one product. And then we're going to have request, response. Then let's just do a return res.send products should appear here. Okay, so let's see. We still have this running, and then we're going to add another route. I'm going to open another tab and call this one products. Then let's click enter. Product should appear here. So you can see we have set up that route. So something we need to do before we continue is that we need to set up our templates, our view. And in Node.js uses template engines like PUG, there is EJS. So we are going to use EJS in this tutorial. If you like, you can use PUG, but I prefer to use EJS because it's more basic. So we are going to use EJS, and in order to do that, we need to set it up. So we're just going to do app.set. We're going to call this one view engine is EJS, and our application will by default look for a views folder in our root and use all the files that are in that folder as our template files. But you can also overwrite that and set your view part and stuff, but like we're just going to follow convention and create the views folder right here. views. Sorry, I like my console to be by my side. Okay, so let's just add a file and name it index.html. Sorry, we are not using HTML now, we are using EJS. So let's go and let's just have basic HTML in here, and we're going to call this one Express MVC. Now we're going to say H1 welcome to my channel. Okay, so in our index.js, instead of us sending our HTML directly like this, we will now use the render. So let's just do it like this: response.render, and then now we just need to define the name of the file like so, index, and that will be it. So this will basically look in the index folder, in the views folder, and pick the index.ejs file, and then we can come over here and refresh, and we are welcome to my channel. You can see that is what we have in our index.ejs file. I like to add some dynamic stuff in here, so let's do let's just say name is Femi Fatokun. I'm basically showing you how we can be able to pass data down into our templates. So we can come here and say something like paragraph, my name is this is how you use EJS. This is how you use EJS. I can now say name. So this should basically say my name is Femi in my code. Sorry, I think I have an error. Sorry, I think I have a syntax error. It should look like this, I believe. Okay, you can see my name is Femi Fatokun. So basically that is how you use EJS. You can see this name is passed from this place and we are rendering it on our page. So basically that is it with EJS. We are going to use this similar syntax for our products. So let's just come over here and do something like this. Basically we don't even need to do anything like this. I'm going to create, first of all, we need to have a very basic design for our products. So I'm just going to say render, and I'll call this one products. And remember, you don't need to add .ejs to the name of the file. Just give it the specific name, like index. You don't need to add .ejs, just index, and products. You don't need to add .ejs. We have not created this file, so let's create this right away. We're going to call this one products.ejs. And then we are going to create design right here. So let's do products, and let's come down here. So basically I want us to have a form at the top that we can use to add products. I also want us to have a list of products at the bottom. So we are just going to make this to be as simple as possible. So let's just say this one is div. Class is let's call this one the main container, and then let's come down here and do something like okay, let's just have another div that says that it's called the add form, and then since we have this, let's just have a simple form. It's going to be a post, and it will post to, okay. Now let's just say add products. We have not created this part yet, and it's going to be a post request, but then let's just call it that, and let's say we have an input type text, name is let's just call this one name, yes, and then it's actually required, it's a required field. Then we can have another input of number, input, this is actually shortened here, so we are going to call this one the price, and we are going to also make it to be required, Then we are going to have a button, and it's going to be of type of submit. I'm going to call it add. Okay, and then since we have this, let's quickly check our application, the products. Okay, we can see we have this. It's going to make sense for us to have something like maybe a H2 saying add products. This will make sense. And then let's have another div and call this one class is equal to products like this. And then we are going to have another H2 in here saying products. Then we are going to have separate products, so I'm going to call this one class products. Then let's have this. Okay, so in this one we are just going to have the name, the price, and the dates added. Okay, so we can actually design a table for this, and in fact that is what we are going to do. I'm going to have a table. Let's just use a table. Let's add it in a tabular format, and let's do something like table name, price, and we're going to have this as last updated. So let's just say last updated. Okay, so then let's just add a little style to this. Sorry, that's a mistake. Font weight border, good one. Refresh, we have products, very good. And then we have to have another style for, okay, let's just add the style for each of the row. So let's just say the border, let's say solid 1 pixel black. And let's refresh. I don't know, there seems to be a problem with my code. Could it be the 1 pixel? I don't know. Let me just increase it a bit. Okay, the 1 pixel is not a problem. Okay, I think I'll just move this code to each of these cells. So we'll just do something like this. Okay, something like this. Whew, this is going to take so much. So this is the use of the styling tag. Instead of me to have to copy and paste all of these, I'll just add a style. Just add a style here, and I'll call it let's just say table cell. So we're just going to add that style in here. Okay, we can also see padding. Padding is let's just say 5 pixel. That will be it. So instead of having to define having to define the style individually to all the elements, we just do something like this. We just add a class and separate our style into a CSS code, into a CSS tag. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and work at the same time. Okay, we're just going to change all this one. I'm just trying, this is not the core course of this video. I'm just trying to make things look at least good. So we have that. Then let's go down. We are going to duplicate this. But then this time around, the font weight, we don't need the font weight to be bolder. It's just going to be basic. So you can now say Gucci bag. You can say the price is $50 and blah blah blah. Then last of the date is going to be some date string that will come from our database. So let's just not worry about that. So we have this. So this is where our product will be listed. And I think this design is very basic, but it does what we want it to do. So I'm just going to leave it like this. So I'm going to comment this out. Refresh. Our code still remains. So let's continue. So whenever we hit the on our index.js file, whenever we hit the product route, we want to have that page, but we want to have the actual products coming from the database. So what can we do? This is a very simple thing to do here. We can just basically just return we can just render the products and then return we can render the products view and then return the products just like we return Femi here. But then we want to use the MVC, even if this is very basic, and if we do this, it's going to work, but we want to use the MVC instead. We want to use the MVC architecture completely. Therefore, we would have to create a controller. So in our controller files, let's even start from the beginning. We have to create a controller for our index, and then we have to create a controller for our product. So let's just do that right away. So I'm going to say index. Yes, let's just follow convention. Index controller.js, and in here we are going to have module.export is going to be equal to let me just create the class first. Let's just create this class and name it index controller, and then let's create one method in there. Let's call this one home, and yes, it has to be an asynchronous function. Now I'll explain something for that, but let's continue first. Request comma response, and then we can now copy what we have here. You can copy what we have right here and bring it up here. Then we need to now do a module.export is going to be equal to new index controller. So this will create an instance of the index controller and export it from this file. So we have to go back to our index.js and we have to import that controller. So we can now do something like this. Const index controller is going to be equal to require /controller/index controller. So basically this is it. We have the index controller now in here, and we can use whatever method it has. So for these we now do async await index controller dot home. Passing the request and the response that we have right here. So basically what this is, what's happening here is that we are removing the logic that is required when anyone hits this home route. We are separating it and putting it in a controller. Now for this case, we only have one line of code, like just returning the render. But in most cases there's going to be a ton of code here, maybe like you want to sign up, there's going to be validation, there's going to be checking the database whether the email is available already, there's going to be checking if the password is weak, there's going to be consuming some endpoints to validate some data. Like there's just going to be tons of stuff that you want to execute on that controller, and putting all those code inside this place is going to make your code very dirty. So that's what the MVC, that's one of the advantages of the MVC. Now we can just separate out our logic and put it in the index controller, and then we just call that index controller right here. So whatever route we are creating, we'll just be calling the method that is required to be executed in the controller for that particular route. So like another thing I want to explain is that we are using the async await syntax here, and we are kind of doing the same thing here. Now there's a reason for that, because in most real-time examples, your controller will most likely be communicating with the database, or probably be consuming some endpoints, some external endpoints, or probably be storing data to the database or something like that. So therefore, it's going to be performing many asynchronous, it's possibly going to be performing many asynchronous functions. Like for this now, it's not performing any asynchronous function, but we still use async await. This is just to demonstrate that normally most controllers will perform asynchronous function. We are going to see that further in this course. So that's why I use the async await, and I'm also using the async here, but we are not awaiting anything inside the function. But we might, in the nearest future, need to use await inside the function, so it's not going to take any more time for us to just add that to our code. So now that we have this, you can see our code is just one line, and then we can do the same thing for this guy, except we need to create a new controller. Before we continue, I would like us to test, so you confirm that everything is okay. If I refresh this now, you can see we still have welcome to my channel, but behind the scenes we have moved our logic into a controller. So this is where the controller comes in. You can see, like I explained in our illustration, in the illustration I showed earlier, the entry point is our index controller, and the outgoing point is is our controller, and the outgoing point is still our controller. The controller executes the request, the controller returns what's necessary, and the controller communicates with the model when necessary. We are going to see that further in this course. So let's just create our second controller. We are going to need another controller. This time around, we're going to call it products controller.js, and this will be class products controller, and then we are going to have one function. Let's just call this one products. Let's call this one products. It's going to receive the request, response, and then we can just return res. I'm just going to copy and paste. There's no point in me writing that. I'm just going to copy and paste, Ctrl X. Sorry, but I have duplicates. Okay, and this is just fine. And then we are going to come down to our index. Sorry, we are going to export this. So modules.export is going to be new products controller. And that's all. And we'll come down here, we are going to use that controller, so I'm just going to copy and paste, and I'll call it products, and I'll also call this one products. Then right here we are going to do the same thing. So say async, then I'm also going to paste what we have here. I'll just make some few changes. Paste what we have here, and do this time around we have products, and we are coming from the products controller. Okay, so let's see what's going on with our application. We can see nothing changes, everything is still fine. Okay, so let's continue, guys. we have our application now. So first of all, in our product controller, we need to know that we will not just be showing them dummy. We need to read from our database. So we need to import our model. We need to import our product model. So I'm going to say const product is going to be equal to require. I think we need to go one out and look for models. Yes, then product. Exactly. We have that. Then you can now come over this place and say product. Oh, just wait a minute. Let's just get the variable here and let's do something like this, const await. And now you can see that we're actually using await. We are going to actually use await because we want to fetch all the products from the database. And Sequelize ORM just lets us do this very, very easily. We can just use our model and just do something like find all. And we are going to have a list of all the products that's available on our database. Then let's just pass that down as products in here. Okay, so if we refresh, nothing is going to change because we have not updated our products.ejs file to look through all the products and render them accordingly. So we are going to do that now. Okay, now we have our products. We have passed it to our index, our products.ejs, but we are not using it in our product.ejs yet. So let's just quickly do that. So this is basically EJS syntax. We are going to write a for loop. For let I is equal to 0, I is less than. Now we are going to do product dot length. Remember, we are passing products from this place. So then we do I plus plus. We'll do something like this, and then close this. Then we are going to close this totally here with something like this. Then in this place, we are going to paste our table row. We are going to paste it here because this is what we want to have after we have done iterating. Like this. And then I want to remove the comments, but then okay, so first of all, for testing purpose, let us just basically restart let's also refresh our page. You can see we have Gucci bag twice because we have only two products in our database right now, and we have not even changed the value here. So let's just do this right now. Is equal to, I'm going to call this one products at the current iteration dot name, and then we are going to do exactly the same thing for the price. Sorry, that's the name. This is supposed to be the price, so in fact we just paste this for the name. Okay, and then we'll paste this for the last updated. So we're going to call this so if we go back to our db, we can see that Sequelize ORM is automatically adding these two columns for us, created at and updated at. So let's just use the updated at. So we're just going to say updated at. So that's that. If we refresh, you can see we have Gucci bag $45.12. This is when we updated it last. Gold chain $250.78, and this is when we updated it last. And in fact, instead of using updated at, let's just use something. Let's use created, and we're just going to use the created at. exactly something like this. And once we refresh, we have all these. And so basically we have been able to fetch our products and populate them here, and our controller just automatically does that for us. Like our code is hidden in our, it's not hidden, it's actually embedded in our controller, and the controller does the handling and renders the page. So that is one part of the entire tutorial. There's something else we need to add. We need to add one last route. I'm going to call that app.get. No, sorry, it's going to be a post, and then we are going to call it, before we continue, let me comment this out and let's quickly test something. Remember when I was creating this form in our code, in our products.ejs, you can see that right here, we added the action to the add product, and it's supposed to be a post method, but we don't have that now. We don't have this add product route. So if we try to hit this route, we're supposed to have an error. Okay, it's required, so let's just say keyboard, and let's call this one, let's see 70.8, and let's do add. Okay, it's supposed to be all numbers, so let's just say 70. And you can see cannot post add product because we have not created that route. So we need to create the add product route in our index.js, and we need to use it to create products. Okay, so we're going to say add product, then we'll do async, and in fact, just because I don't want to write this whole long thing again, I'll be pasting it. So I'll just do Shift Alt, and I'll call this one add product, add, and this time around it's going to be a post request. It's going to be a post request, and then we're going to call this one add product. Call this one add product, and instead of add product, it's supposed to be add product. That's a typo. Add product. We only add one product. Okay, so let us try to send this form now. Okay. Okay, yes, it's still posting to the add product. So let's just refresh and add product. Give it a name. Let's say keyboard, and let's just say $10. Add. And you can see our application is going to crash. Why? Because we don't have the add product yet, so we have not created the method yet. So let's just go ahead and create that. So we are going to create another method here. I'm going to call it add product. Request, response. Just do sorry, return res.send this route will add product dot. So we have this now. Let's just refresh. You can see this route will add product, so that's what that route is done right now. Okay, so let's just go back again, refresh our application, and let's write the code that is necessary. So for this case, we need to use something. We need to import something that we have not imported before. I'm going to call it const bp, which is body parser, is equal to require body parser, and then I'm going to do something like app.use bp. URL encoded. Okay, so this is going to allow us to be able to send form data. Okay, extended, yes, we are supposed to add an option, so I'm going to call it extended is true. Basically, I can't remember what this does right now, but let's just continue. So basically this will allow our application to be able to read URL encoded content and pass it as the body of our request. So to continue, let us just come back to our product and just do something like console.log request.body. So okay, so let's just I will reduce this screen now so we can just try and add. I want us to see what's going on in the console. So we just do $70 and add. You can see we have name is keyboard, price is 70 exactly. So now let's continue. Let's just see const name, comma, price is going to be equal to request.body. So now we are now going to do, I want us to do some validation here. I would like us to do some validation. So let's just do if not name. And I'm going to do something like this. We're going to do return res.render products, comma, products, and then we're now going to have I'd like us to have error. I'm going to call it name is required. Actually, our application will not allow this to happen right now because all the fields are already required. So the form will not even submit, but I'll just go and remove that so we can demonstrate properly. So I'll remove this required so that the browser is not blocking our form from getting submitted. Okay, so let's continue, and then I'll just say the product is still going to be product. So let's just have this still here, and okay, so that will be it. So if the name is not, so we're just going to return an error, name is required, else we are going to check again for the price. If not price, then same error. I'm going to say price. Okay, this time around, let's just change this to price. Price is required. Then else we want to create a new product. So we are going to do let's product is equal to await product dot create name, comma, price, just like this, and this should get created. This should create a new product for us. Then for this purpose, I'm just going to use a let here, and then we are still going to do exactly the same thing here. We're just going to product is going to be await, because now we have added a new product to the list to our product. We want to make sure that we return the most updated products. We want to make sure we return the most updated products. So basically that is it, and right now we can remove this part of our code and just, in fact, it's already here, we can just copy and paste and just return this. And then since we are not using this variable, we can basically just remove it and just do await product.create. It's going to create a new product, and then now we are fetching our updated list of products and we are returning the view again. So basically that is it. Let us test our application. So I'm just going to go back, refresh, let's create keyboard, and let's say the price is going to be 70, and let's just do add. You can see we added keyboard, $70 just now. And then let's try to add without this. You can see nothing's been added, but then we are not displaying our error message. So we need to write, we need to update our products.ejs so that we can render this error message. So in order to do that, I'm just going to come right here. I'm going to do something like P. Then let's add a style to it. Style is equal to color is red. This is to show that this is actually an error message. We are going to write a condition here. So we are going to say if error then do let's close it. Do this. We just want to display the error only when the error is available. So we are just going to do that now. Percentage equal to percentage greater than, and then we're just going to say error. So okay, that is it. Let's try this now. You can see name is required. Name is required. So let's just do something else and also one other thing I missed is that instead of doing this here, we are not supposed to do this. After I've created the product, we are actually supposed to redirect. So my bad about that. We are supposed to redirect, because if we do not redirect, that means we are on a post request, and then we can keep refreshing and refreshing and refreshing, and it will keep creating new products for us. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to do res.redirect. I'm going to pass our product route. I'm going to pass our product route, and that's going to be fine. So once we refresh, okay. So let's just go back to our product, and let's go back to our product. Okay, there seems to be an error. So error is not defined. What's going on here? Okay, so we are facing this problem because there's an issue with EJS, so we need to actually do it this way. So if type of error is equal to string, this is only when we want to render error. So this should do the fix. So, we need to restart our application. Once we started, we can now do refresh and have all our products here. So basically that's that. If we have the error, we want to render the error, and also want to redirect when we are successful. So in fact, we do not need to have the products here anymore. And we can change this to a constant variable, because we are not going to be mutating any of the data. So application has restarted, so let's just refresh. We have this. Now let's try to create an application without specifying the field and do add. Name is required, so let's say keyboard, and then let's say is 67. Add. You can see it's redirected to this place, to the product. Sorry, I made a mistake. I think I removed the creation of products from here. I removed the creation of products. It's supposed to be products. I removed the creation of products. And that was a very serious mistake. So sorry guys. Name and price. We had this before, but I mistakenly removed it. Now we have it back. and if we start our application, we have it right there. Refresh, let's add it back. Keyboard, and let's just see $89. Now if we add it, you can see it's guiding us back to this page, and it's showing our newly added item. We can now say, let's say we want to add MacBook. Let's say we have $799,000. So you can see we have MacBook added here, and then let's say we want to add a product that doesn't have stuff. Name is required. Let's say we add a name. Let me just say iPhone, but we don't have a price. If we add it, we are going to have price is required. One other thing that I see that our application is lacking is the ability to retain the format data. So we're just going to do that right now. We are going to try to add that. So in order to do that, let's just say, let's call this one price, and let's also call this one price. So we are adding price back to our error rendering. When we render the product, we are adding price. So we are also going to come back here, and we're going to do something like this. Value is equal to, then we are going to write our condition again, do something like this. If, don't worry about the syntax highlighting, we're just going to say if type of price is equal to number. Sorry, let me just use single quotes now to avoid issues. Is equal to number, then do this, backspace, and then sorry, we need to have a percentage here too. Then we need to have a percentage also here. Do this, have another percentage and close it. This is very, very cunning. In fact, I'm going to break it down further, so we can just do something like this. Yes. So now we can just say, we can just return the price. I don't think it's going to return a string, but no problem. Let's just have this like this, and let's come down here and also do the same thing for the name. So we're just going to add value. I'm going to add this one and change every price to name. So name. This time around we are expecting a string. And we are going doing the name. Then to avoid any problem, let's come back to our code and do. Let's just test it. Everything is supposed to work fine. One reason why you are saying that our the newly added products have been deleted is because we are using force is equal to true. I don't think we need that anymore, so I'm just going to set this. Is either I remove it or I just set it to false. So it's not going to delete our newly added data whenever the application restarts. So let's just okay this. Price is required. I think I'll just come back down to products, and let's just, it's creating duplicates. I'll just leave that false for now. Yes, I'll just leave that false for now. I don't want it to have duplicates. So I don't want the seed data to be created multiple times, so let's just leave it like that. Keyboard, and let's say 150, and let's add this. Okay, we have keyboard added, and let's say we have the price to be 90, but we don't have the name. It's supposed to be telling me name created, and it's supposed to show me the price. Name is required and it's supposed to show me the price because I added the price, but that is not working, and I think I know why. Okay, we passed only the price here, we didn't pass the name. I don't know why, so we need to add name. So for the price, I want us to pass it as, let's just create a new number from price. We'll do exactly the same thing for the other guy, the second price. So let's just do some. Okay, so let's just refresh now. Go back to products. Go back to products and let's just not add the name. Let's add only the price. Okay, there seems to be a problem. Let's quickly check that. It's supposed to be in our products.ejs. So it's supposed to be on a straight line like this. It's supposed to remove every single white space. Put them all on a straight line. So basically I would advise that you first of all write it like, space it out, and then once you are done, you put it back on a straight line, like removing all white spaces. Okay. I'm not going to include the screen of my. Okay. That will be it. So let's try again now. Let's refresh. Okay, the value is 0, which is quite bad. Now it's added color and set 0, which we don't want. And come over to this products place, and then when we are checking for the price, we're also checking that the price is not, that the price is equal to 0. We are making sure that the price is also above 0 before we submit. So let's refresh and let's just go back to products and test this all over again. So I'm going to see products. Okay, I'm going to see, let's just add the keyboard. Let's try to add it to type price. You can see it's telling us that price is required. Let's not have the price and have only, let's not have the name and have only the price. It's going to tell us that name is required, preserving the 150, like we have solved the problem that we want to solve. We have the former values being preserved. So let's just add keyboard back and add. And you can see keyboard is being added to our product. If we go and check our database right here, we just hit refresh. Let's refresh. And see we have one new product added. So basically, I think that is it. Let's see laptop. Let's see 4,550. You can see we have our application running quite fine. So basically, that's all with this tutorial. We actually set up a simple MVC application. We have models, we have views, dynamic views. We have models that provide our data. We have controllers that does all the actions and that does all the rendering, that does all the conditional action and everything. Like to further explain the advantage of MVC, take for example this add product controller. Imagine that we pick up all this code here and come to our index.js and have to paste it directly into this place. We do this for like 10 different routes. Our code is going to be like 700 to 800 lines and like on just the index.js. So basically this simple setup just breaks things down into relevant sectors. So that's it about this video, guys. Please like and subscribe to my channel, hit the bell button if you want to get notified whenever I create new content. And also, if you have any question about this video, about how we did things, how we fix bugs, you can drop it in the comment section. And please endeavor to invite your friends if you think my content is actually relevant for them. Okay, do have a nice one.